Okay? And that's it. That's what it comes down to in many instances.
You know that I am a long-time Netanyahu's political opponent, and I disagree with his policy. But any equivalence between this jihadist group that massacred, burned children, raped women, deliberately.
What? He asked you a good question. I'm just wondering, don't you ever concern about something beyond of you because there is ranks masonry in the beginning? Check the chat or me if you can. I'm good, man, I think. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, Tzipi Livni is a liberal that was a part of the Annapolis negotiations. The fact that she hates Bibi but hates the ICC more shows why there has never been an agreement between the two sides. Even the most liberal Israelis cannot imagine Israel can do wrong against Palestinians. Exactly. Zionism is the boundary. Okay? Liberal Zionists, no matter how liberal they are, liberal Zionists, no matter how liberal they are, still cannot view a world where Palestinian humanity exists. That's very important. Stop manipulating your people. You obviously know what the fuck I talk. Stop manipulating your people. Because this people is here to be enlightened. Brother, take your medication, please. Okay? Take your meds. Talking about fucking masonry or whatever the fuck you're talking about.
Promise to do it again. And a democracy like Israel is immoral and outrageous.
The ICC's argument is that there is no moral equivalency between making these separate cases. But let me understand exactly what you're saying there. Are you saying that an Israeli prime minister, because he's part of a democratic government, should be immune from war crimes prosecution judged by an independent court?
Joel Sievert, thank you for the
It's
10
not
gifted.
only what I am saying. This is a basic role, which is called complementary. And this is the base for the...
Yeah. You can still, as Israel has shown us, democratically facilitate an ethnic cleansing campaign. And when your supposedly separate court system doesn't actually kick in, as you are also, your very existence and your advocacy for Israel right now and Israel's interest in Gaza personally shows the rest of the world where you guys stand on this issue, then yes, someone else has to step in. This argument would not stand for Adolf Hitler. It would not stand for any number of different countries that have democratically decided, okay, through the process of voting, decided to kill a shit ton of people and engage in a multitude of different ethnic cleansing campaigns. It's insane. The idea that Israel is a democracy is a ridiculous one to begin with, but this is why that propaganda sticks. This is why, for years and years, the notion that Israel is the most moral nation, the only democracy in the Middle East, which was never real, right? Because you cannot have a democratic process while simultaneously maintaining an apartheid, because you can only have a democracy if all of the citizens have rights. Okay? You cannot, the idea that like Israel was the only democracy in the Middle East was always a silly one for this reason. Okay? America deserved 9/11. I hope I see you. I will make choke on pork. Those were innocent people that were murdered. I bet you live in America. Palestine is not a country, you fool. Are Arabs native to Palestine? Mooter TTV. First of all, I love pork. So I don't know why you immediately were like, oh, Muslim guy, his name is Hasan. I bet he's going to be really scared. Like, probably consume more pork than you do, dumb fuck. So that's number one. Number two, don't threaten me with a good time. Okay, what are you gonna do? You're gonna serve me a little bit of bacon? Is that what you're gonna do? He's like, bro, if I see you, I'm giving you pork sausages and I'm cooking up a nice little fucking meal with some bacon on the side. Okay? Some prosciutto. Ay, ay, ay. Are Arabs native to Palestine? Yes. Yes. Yes, they are. But anyway, once again, it makes no fucking sense until you realize that it is very nefarious programming when you start considering. And the reason for why, for years and years, everyone kept saying Israel's the most moral nation, Israel's the most moral army, Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East. Why? So that they can fucking gear up for numerous different sieges that they've conducted throughout time to be like, no, 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 no. This is a democracy. This is a democracy. We're democratically doing this. We're democratically dishing out this violence. We're democratically ethnically cleansing people. Okay? We have a court. We have a process. And it's like, okay, well, your process is failing. Just because you have some systems in place does not change the reality that you are still doing an ethnic cleansing campaign. Just because a lot of people inside of the boundaries of Israel also agree with that process doesn't change that reality. Okay? That's it.
Relationship between the ICC and national courts. As long as we are dealing with a democracy like Israel, but not only, with independent courts that can put charges and willing to do so against somebody within their country, including prime minister, that is acting against the international law, this is a place where the ICC would not intervene. Now, I would like to remind you that in Israel, I was part of those that took the streets and demonstrated in order to keep Israeli courts independent. And we succeeded. And you know, one of those that wanted to promote these judicial reforms are telling us, okay, you told us that if the Israeli courts are independent, it can help Israel's security. And look what happens. So it's not, I'm not saying that what happened to Israelis on October 7th is the excuse or a reason to do something like this to others. No way. But while they are acting deliberately, and we are trying.
The fact that she's chirping about the ICC and she's got smoke for the ICC, despite genuinely despising Benjamin Netanyahu, tells you everything you need to know about Zionism. Zionism is a fascist ideology. That's it. It's ethno-supremacist. It's religious. Like Zionism is both ethno-supremacist, but also, I guess, religiously supremacist as well. Given the reality that Judaism is an ethno-religion, and the Zionist project ultimately is a fascist one. So no matter how liberal you are, no matter how many legitimate grievances you might have with someone like Benjamin Netanyahu, it still doesn't change the reality that like when an outside institution says you can't do that, you will run defense for Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay? That's it. This is why liberal Zionism, in many respects, is, depending on what your understanding of liberalism is either oxymoronic or directly what liberalism is. It's kind of weird comparing liberals to Nazis when it was leftists who worked with the fascists, but okay. Wait, what? You have to be doing a top of the hour ad break debate, right? At literally 12:50. No, it wasn't leftists who work with the fascists. It was actually liberals who work with the fascists in Nazi Germany. Learn your history. You're wrong. What is happening here? Holy fuck, you guys are unhinged. Even if you are on Palestinian side, you have to admit October 7th was a terrorist attack. I didn't say the IDF was doing terrorist attacks, but I'm saying that there are people in the chat saying October 7th wasn't a terrorist attack. Wait, what did I say? That would imply I'm racist, dude. So you're saying Hasan is racist too because he admits that October 7th was a terrorist attack? Damn, you guys really hate liberals. Already does that mean start hating New Age liberals? Wait, what really? What is that really? What liberal Zionism is? Hasan just says things. It's so funny when he talks to me about confirmation bias. Holy shit. This guy is just like chirping in the chat. Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? You treat your business like a capitalist too? Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Your understanding of liberal history or leftist history is wrong. Okay. That's number one. Liberal Zionism is still, if you are truly a liberal, okay, personally, and you look at liberalism, you look at liberal Zionism, and you think like it is, it's the confines in which it exists, which is having disagreements with Benjamin Netanyahu while simultaneously defending Benjamin Netanyahu when like an outside court interferes with the affairs of the Israeli state doing an ethnic cleansing campaign. You demonstrate this inherent contradiction within your value system. Liberals ideologically are supposed to be aligned with liberating people in the simplest terms, right? Making sure that all people have access to civil liberties. All people have the very same civil liberties, a right to due process, being able to go through the civic court system and be able to, you know, purchase property wherever the fuck they want. I don't know. A whole litany of different things. Liberal Zionism does not allow Palestinians any of those rights. So therefore, it doesn't matter. He's not a grifter, I don't think. I feel like Hasan is a leftist. If he wasn't, he wouldn't put his career on the line by supporting Palestine. I just have a question. How do we change the opinions of these people? Isn't Zionism a thing that Nazis use to try and push propaganda, though? Cringe. What? What happened to this guy? He seems like he had relatively normal takes and then just like kind of fell apart. Stroke gun? No. It's kind of weird to compare liberals to Nazis when it was leftists who work with the fascists, but okay, he said. Okay. It's because you became too radical? I know. My guess, friend groups and family pressure? No, I think it's more so just like people personally feeling as though I am people personally feeling as though I have some like inconsistencies or something, not fully understanding the scope of the argument that I'm presenting, and then seeking out like someone who is against me, finding a fucking community that has a shit ton of anti-Hasan takes and just like going through it and mainlining all of that and then completely rewiring his brain. But no, that's not it. I hate D-Man too. Okay, so then I don't understand what your confusion is. Zionism is an ethno-state project. That's it. That's what it is. And just like every other ethno-state project, it is inherently fascist, especially when you consider that the Zionist project was launched upon an area as a settler colonial occupation that had a shit ton of indigenous people living there. Those people were forcibly removed from their homes. You cannot simultaneously claim to be a liberal, which is already a bourgeois revolutionary ideology anyway, and outdated by 2024 standards, in my opinion. Okay. But you can't even maintain the facade that you are a firmly committed believer in human rights while simultaneously claiming that like Israel gets to have a little bit of an ethno-state in and of itself. You know? This is why there's an inherent contradiction between the idea that like all people are worthy of dignity, a foundational liberal principle, in theory at least, with the notion that like, well, Palestinians don't actually. All right, let me set the record straight. Far leftists work with fascists. Is that better? No, what do you mean far leftists work with fascists? Stop using vague terminology and tell me exactly what you're talking about. What do you mean far leftists work with fascists? That's not true. That's historically untrue. The number one enemy of Nazis was literally the supposed far leftist that you're speaking of, the KPD to be exact. Many of them were Jewish as well. Judeo-Bolshevism is the concept that fascists opposed and despised. It wasn't. A lot of people don't understand. They try to hit this from a liberal angle. They try to talk about history from a liberal angle while simultaneously not recognizing that like they are rechanneling fascist propaganda in many ways when they are simultaneously claiming that they're pro-liberal and engaging in this kind of like incorrect assessment of history. Wait, is there a difference between liberal progressivism and leftist progressivism? Legit asking, this is a child, I think. I mean, probably. So I will describe it to you. Okay? Leftists, in the way that I use the term, are oftentimes anti-capitalist, depending on, I guess, like how far removed we are from anti-capitalist sentiment. I would even factor in, depending on the entirety of someone's political opinions, social democrats in the United States of America into a leftist camp, a leftist category, because of how far right the American governance is, how far right our economic structure is. Having said that, however, ultimately the easiest way to describe it is anti-capitalist. Liberals believe in private property and the defense of private property above all else. There's a distinction that leftists make between private property and personal property. For example, my house that I live in would be considered personal property. If I were to move out of this house and then become a landlord and rent it out and engage in capital accumulation, then it would be considered private property. I personally believe that we have no use for private property and simply have use for personal property, especially when it comes to something as important as shelter, that is a necessity for survival, that all humans, all living organisms, as a matter of fact, need. Animals need shelter too. Okay? That is the major, I would say that that's one of the major clear distinctions between leftists and liberals. Liberals care more about the defense of private property and therefore liberal capitalism and maintain the order that exists, the current order that exists under liberal capitalism than they do about true emancipation for all peoples, which also factors in the global south, the third world, those who are harmed by America and the Western world's imperialist ambitions, those who are harmed by the unequal exchange that extracts natural resources and also hyper exploits the global south and the working population of the global south. Okay? Now, having said that, I don't inherently believe that like all liberals are enemies of mine or anything like that. As long as they truly are empathetic to the plight of people that are being destroyed by America's imperial ambitions, Israel genocidal campaign. Does that make sense? However, when you start developing reactionary feelings against leftists and become negatively polarized, and you become negatively polarized against like socialists, communists, and whatnot, you don't realize that you are playing into reactionary sentiments. You're developing reactionary attitudes, right-wing attitudes. It's a scary thing because it can be very comfortable. Reactionary sentiment can be very welcoming and very comfortable, especially when the system that we exist under and the social conditioning that we get under said system is already causing us to take granted all of the inherent hierarchies that exist currently. The oppressive structures that we live under, white supremacy, misogyny, transphobia, classist sentiments that we have. I'll give you an example. And this happens to every single person. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. Some people have $5 to subscribe and some people don't. Those who do not have $5 can use a Twitch Prime, which is free, as long as you connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. That way, you will not see the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. However, you can also get gifted a sub. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Okay, all jokes aside, the actual example I will give you is this. Okay? The actual example I will give you is this. Of inherent classist dynamics and the way we understand and take for granted anti-worker sentiment, although we, in many instances, obviously statistically speaking, are from the working class ourselves. Okay? When you go to the airport, let's say you're traveling with JetBlue. Okay? Go to the airport. You fly from one location to the next. You arrive at the airport. You get out in a rather expedient fashion. And then you sit there and you wait for the carousel to move because you have a bag that you have checked in. Now, that baggage is supposed to come in a timely manner. That's what normally is supposed to happen. That's what has happened when you've flown with other airlines. So you are conditioned into thinking like, okay, well, where the fuck's my baggage? But it doesn't come. You sit there for 30 minutes. Still doesn't come. Sit there for an hour and it still doesn't come. And then you ask someone, what's going on with the baggage situation? And the person says, oh, sorry. I think that there's some issues because, there are too many travelers, there's too many baggages, so we're a little behind on the carousel. In that very moment, you have two different groups of people that you can attribute the blame to. Many people, regardless of the fact that they are workers themselves, will immediately go, oh, it must be those fucking lazy baggage handlers that aren't doing their goddamn jobs right. That is the overarching, the sentiment that most people have in their hearts. When in fact, the real problem in that circumstance is the management. Those who are working at the behest of capital that have not hired enough baggage handlers, knowing full well that there was going to be a shit ton of flights coming in. But we are so primed into thinking it must be the workers' fault from all of the social conditioning that we take for granted, that we just basically see as the order of business, that we immediately go and shit on the luggage handlers. When in fact, because of profit-seeking, motivated management class at JetBlue, they refuse to hire the necessary amount of workers to fill that void. Did they not know that there was going to be 8 flights coming in at the same fucking time? Of course they did. They calculated it. And another calculation is we don't really need to fucking hire that many baggage handlers because guess what? People can just like sit there. Many people are not checking in their luggage anyway. And the ones that do check in their luggage, well, fuck them. They can sit there and wait for an hour. Okay?